Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Claudia Cauterucci. I'm a psychotherapist based in Washington, D.C. I'm an author, and I'm the creator of the dynamic Re-Evolution curriculum. I'm doing this vlog series in November because my book with my co-author Grace Being is about to be launched. It's entitled Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, Rebuild from Relationship Trauma, and Find Your Light Again. And so you'll be able to find that for pre-order on Amazon and for order very soon. And so I wanted to add a touch of my own way of looking in a nuanced way. Some of the narcissists that I have been in touch with recovered from, to be honest, my whole life, it seems like one experience after another, both personally and professionally, with narcissism until you heal. And then you can spot it. So in this vlog series, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help you spot it earlier, during, even after, but mostly I'm wanting you to be able to spot the ones that you cannot recognize with ease. I feel like that's my expertise. I've really been able to find the subtle ways that narcissists show up, especially for empaths, because we have a very particular way of seeing the world, very particular, mostly through our heart. And so it confuses us a lot to bump into narcissists. It really is very confusing. This week, we're diving into the hardest to recognize narcissists, the ones who don't look like villains because they don't rage and they don't cheat. They don't smear. But they do hurt when you finally see them. These are the ones who love you, need you, yes, I'm doing the quotes, admire you, cling to you, and never leave you because they're feeding off of you. So let's talk about the leech. What is the leech? The leech is a narcissistic personality structure that's built on energetic extraction. It's not explosive, it's not grandiose, and it's not obviously abusive. And you know, I have a very particular expertise on energetic literacy and psychic literacy. I really have studied this, and I use my own ability to read energetics. And this is why I'm able to recognize some of the things that aren't completely obvious. I have a whole vlog series on psychic literacy. Go ahead and check that out. But let's continue. So this type of energetic leech attaches to you. They depend on you. They cling to you, and they feed off of your life force straight up. Yes, sometimes they're extracting money. For sure. But most of the time, it's energetic. They want things like your success, your personality, your emotional labor, your stability, your reputation, your generosity, your willingness. I say a lot about this one. Your willingness, your achievements, your inner work, the work that you've done on yourself, your identity, your connections with others, your safety, your home, your time, your nervous system. Because you're always regulating yourself and regulating the environment, not just what you do. They survive by taking from what you are, not just what you do. So it's an unconscious psychic shadow contract. Lots of relational fine print, the little tiny fine print in your relationship that this is usually what people just try and look over, but it's binding you together. So it's not obvious manipulation, but it's chronic and it's parasitic and it's a dynamic. And by the way, shadow contracts, you want to check out my girl, Amanda Flaker. She talks a lot about shadow contracts. But the idea of shadow contracts is that you make an agreement, an unconscious or conscious silent agreement with someone or a group or a culture, etc., where there's lots of fine print. If you don't speak to this, I won't speak to that. But we know it's happening. We know what we're indulging in. It's usually ends up being very codependent, very toxic, basically, if it's a shadow contract, it ends up injuring you, but also the whole energetic field around you. You want to really know your own shadow. All right, I digress. You know how I do that. I'll start on another topic. But check out Amanda Flaker's YouTube channel and check out Shadow Contracts. It's also in my book, The Empath Leader. Check it out all there. But in any case, this dynamic is based on chronic and parasitic interactions. Like your goodness of heart becomes like a gold mine to extract and exploit. Now, this might be conscious or unconscious. It usually is both. Folks know who you are. They know who you are. So your willingness, think of what willingness is. Willingness is delicious. You're the person who says yes. You're the person who's game. You're the person who's in their corner. Willingness. You're the person who's willing to grow, to understand, to see people's point of view. Willingness is delicious. I always say it in couples therapy. It doesn't matter if this person is making mistakes or not knowing how to handle certain situations, but if they're willing, you're golden. Willingness, because then you're willing to grow and repair, etc. I always notice that in couples therapy. It's actually the person who says that they know so much about psychology, have read all the books, but they're unwilling to change, unwilling to say I'm sorry, unwilling, bam. That's it. It completely stalls, stunts, keeps your relationship stuck if you're unwilling. So think of the opposite. Your willingness is it's beyond golden. It's diamonds. They want that. Of course they do. Your compassion is a place that fuels them. It becomes like a power source. And your self-improvement becomes like their elevator up to upgrade. I want an upgrade. I'm going to ride this elevator. Because this person is always growing, upgrading, evolving. And it's scary, right? And what's the scariest part? They genuinely believe, and you genuinely believe, that this is about love, that they love you and you love. Why is this so hard to see? This is one of the hardest types of narcissism to recognize, especially for empaths, because all the classic signs are actually reversed. Number one, they're nice. Check out the vlog episode where I talked about the nice guy, the nice girl. They appear loyal. They show up. They praise you constantly. They tell everybody you're their angel, you're their rock star, you're their stability, you're their everything. They'll tell you, and they'll let the world know too, but it's not reciprocal. You're so busy seeing what they're saying that you're not asking yourself the question, are you that for me? Are you my rock? Are you my stability? Are you my angel? So it's not a partnership. It's dependence that's disguised as devotion. Number two, your wounds actually blind you to the dynamic. This has happened to me, and it's because I self-investigated. Took me years. That's why I don't want it to take you years. I'm giving it to you right now. Empaths with abandonment wounds, rejection wounds, loneliness wounds, and mainly if you were left alone a lot as a child. Not so much who you are right now, but as a child, because all of these wounds begin as children. That's why they're so deep. Scarcity wounds, like no one has ever loved me like this. No one's ever been this loyal to me. We will interpret this person as connection, not as a consumer of our gifts. We'll feel so thankful that we're not being rejected, abandoned, left alone. And all of this is childhood stuff. So some of what you might be saying to yourself in your head or even to them is, thank you for not leaving me. Well, really, the translation is, or what they're thinking is, thank you for feeding me. The causes are always good ones. That's number three. This is really tricky. Remember, we're talking about why we can't see it. So the causes are always good ones. They need help with their kids, little kids, adult kids. They need help with their aging parents, their unstable job or jobs, their housing, their emotional up and downs or breakdowns, their endless crises. There might be always someone against them. They need help with their own wounds. Because you're compassionate and are able to see multiple points of view, and because you're wounded yourself, right? You want to help. And these needs end up censoring you. Believe it or not, they silence your boundaries. Because what kind of monster puts limits around someone's aging parents or around someone's children? Or if they've lost a job, then you're the mean one. It completely trumps you over and over. So your moral compass, let's say, the way that you guide your life becomes a gilded cage or a leash that they've got on. Number 4, the trade is invisible. They never ask for one huge thing. It's like chronic micro extractions. One more hour on the phone, one more crisis to solve, one more emotional dump, one more ride, one more cover or enabling for something they've done, they've said in public, just one more favor, just one more month on your couch, one more pep talk, one more use of your car, one more loan, one more sacrifice. It never ends. And because it happens drip by drip by drip, you can't see this huge ocean that's starting to envelop you and that you're drowning in. Number 5, they never leave. They never leave. That must feel so soothing, right? To our abandonment wound. And that feels like loyalty, but it's not. It's dependency. It's codependency, by the way. They stay because you're the oxygen tank. You're a really good meal over and over. Why does this type of dynamic with this type of narcissist hurt the most? Because it's not dramatic abuse and it's not dramatic control. It's not overt, but it is emotional molestation disguised as devotion. And if you don't know what emotional molestation is, it is a Claudism, but I don't include it in my Claudisms because for me, it feels like a clinical phrase that I've created, especially for empaths and children and anyone who's kind-hearted. Anyone who is kind-hearted, it's just so easy to emotionally molest. Go look it up in my YouTube vault, and I can redo that one because it's so, so important. I did coin the phrase emotional molestation. And this is an example of emotional molestation. It's a way to groom you, get into your heart, and use it. It hurts because you are praised while being exploited. Straight up. I'm saying straight up a lot today. Sorry. You're my angel. You're my savior. You're so good. You're a champ. What would I do without you? You're my everything. You're the only one I trust. I'm nothing without you. Praise, praise, praise. Take, take, take. You're the compassion ATM. And this praise confuses you. It confuses your system. It confuses your psychology. It mimics attachment, but it's not. It's extraction. It's consumption. So your best traits become the trap, becomes the match. Kindness, your willingness, your generosity, your open heart, your values. We're supposed to help others. Your care, your loyalty, your spiritual maturity, the things that make you a kind, good-hearted person are the actual things that make you vulnerable. So what happens? You slowly lose yourself. You have to catch these signs. You become depleted, exhausted, imbalanced. You can never get to your own things. You become off center. You're confused. You're always saying things like, I'm choosing my battles. It's a big sign for me. You're behind in your own life, in your own goals. You don't even know what your goals are anymore because you're over here putting out fires that don't belong to you, that came with their life, their whole life, dumped. Can't say no because it creates something. in the environment. You're ashamed. You can't help more. You feel guilty. You can't tell that parent, for example, that you want to get off the phone, even though you've heard about the cousin who's getting a divorce because they're having an affair again an hour later. Because sometimes it's a parent, sometimes it's a child. This is what's heartbreaking. Sometimes it's someone you've known for a long time. Feel guilty that you want your alone time? Feel selfish? You're confused? How can I possibly resent this person who loves me so much? I'm a prince or a princess in their eyes. I'm a king. I'm the savior. How can I resent this person? Very confusing, very emotionally molesting. So you push aside yourself to carry their needs. Your needs don't matter. And in the book, in the Empath Leader, we talk about you take yourself out of the equation, saying yes, saying yes, saying yes. Because you're so willing is actually like the ATM that just doesn't stop giving out money. Your life becomes their emotional welfare. And it's hard to look at, y'all, because sometimes it is a parent. Sometimes it is an adult child. So painful. It's so painful when it's your spouse, because then you're more confused because you're saying, oh my God, why did I make this decision? Why was this okay? Well, it was okay because you came in wounded. And their wound matched yours. That's why it happened. So let's keep going, because the psychic part, they steal. Remember when I talked about they lie, cheat, and steal? It's not they steal your money all the time or your jewelry. They steal your inner work. It's psychic. This one is huge and it's nuanced. It's so subtle. They want to be seen as generous, healthy, growing, self-aware, disciplined, healing, value-based, spiritual, ethical. They want to be seen as that because you are, my love, you. They want the benefits of your evolution, of your inner work, of your character without doing the work themselves. Remember in the last one, I talked about taking the easy way out all the time. This is when they're lying, cheating, and stealing this. Who's to blame them? Who wouldn't want that? They just sort of sit on your lap and say, me too, I'm like this too. So this is a narcissistic extraction of your identity, and it's painful. What to do? Breaking the shadow con. Number one, name the pattern. Write this down. Get your PhD on Me journal or the one that you're going to buy on Black Friday. Name the pattern. Say it out loud. This is not loyalty. This is dependency. This is not love. This is extraction. Clarity is the first part of cutting that cord. It's like you're going into the contract and you're circling stuff. You're reading the fine print, finally, with a red pen. Number two, track the chronic nature. That's important. It's never about one big ask. It's the pattern, the constancy, the imbalance. If you feel drained after every interaction, that's the data. If you're bracing yourself as to what comes next. Hi, I had to jump off there, do a few sessions. So if you see that the lighting is a little darker, that's why. I'm at the end of my day. Number three, and this is going to feel strange if you're an empath, if you're sensitive, if you're a good-hearted person, if you're generous, but it's super, super important for all relationships moving forward. And that is to ask yourself, what do I get? How is this equal give and take? What do I get emotionally? What do I get spiritually? What do I get hypothetically? And I want you to underline this. I want you to put it in bold, and I want you to make it in capital letters. What do I get practically? What are you getting in reality? And some of the answers to that might mean like, does this environment feel regulated? Am I always managing these emotions for others and not having my own because it's not safe enough to have my own? Is this always about them? And so when you ask, what am I getting in reality? For most empaths or people in this type of relationship, is what I get is the promise that they'll never leave. That abandonment wound is pretty intense. And so that might be the first layer that you're getting here in terms of healing. And that is an important relational healing place. But actually, what I want you to ask even more is, what price am I paying to know that someone will never leave? Because it might be you who keeps paying, like that ATM, in order for someone to not leave you. And so these are pretty deep questions about your own wounding that is really required to ask. Gotta look at yourself in the mirror. But this channel is all about that. And it's so important, because otherwise you will be a relational ATM to everyone, to a parent, to a child, to a spouse, to friends, to your work. You'll just keep giving and depleting yourself in order to not be left. There's so many marriages that are based on this shadow contract. Now, we want relationships where we vow to not leave each other, but not as a price that you're paying. Number 4, reduce your willingness. Ugh, I cringe at that because I'm a very willing person, and willingness gives us all sorts of amazing magic. Like, I am willing to travel. I am willing to explore. I'm willing to throw that party with you. I'm willing to go roller skating. I am willing. That friend who says, game on. I don't know how to go surfing, but I'll learn how to surf with you. We love willingness. In fact, in dynamic meditation method, I teach it as a high meditative state. We call it courageousness. And courageousness is like, I am willing. So we want to frame it as diamonds. Remember, it's beyond gold. Willingness is diamonds. It's such a beautiful human characteristic. But you know where I'm going, because your willingness is their gold mine. That's what you've got to scan for. That's what you need your radar for. Is my willingness just being taken from me? Where is their willingness? And some examples, right? Some soft ways to check that and to put some slight boundaries up is to say, I'm not available today. I can't help with that today. I trust that you're going to figure that out. I don't want to talk about that same cousin anymore. Can we talk about something else? I'm not taking that on anymore. I'm going to use my time for something else. I really need alone time right now. And what you're going to do after marking some of those boundaries is you're going to watch what happens. And that's where you'll see the narcissism come up. And what you might see is silent treatments or more moodiness or faces. Prepare for a disharmony in the environment and prepare for you not to have to harmonize it. I'll say more about that in a second. So number 6, I think I'm on number 6, but anyway, the next point is reclaim your inner work as yours. You don't owe them. This is hard work that you've done. Your healing is yours. Your growth is yours. Your boundaries, your new boundaries, your progress, your new opportunities. Because if you're doing inner work, trust and believe that you're going to get new opportunities, new friends. Newness is going to come your way anytime you're doing inner work and inner healing. It just comes with your self-regulation is yours. Your reputation is yours. Your integrity is yours. Your decision to not engage in things that harm you psychically, emotionally, physically is yours. Your decision to change is yours. Your evolution is completely yours. Now, you can invite others to do their own work. You can invite them. It doesn't mean they'll take you on it. In fact, they might get upset. Next point, because I've lost count of the numbers. Expect withdrawal. You're not going to get rage with this type of narcissist, and you're not going to get violence. You will get sulking, maybe, silence. I already listed some of them, but let's repeat it here. Disappointment, victimhood. They might make you feel, or you might get a sense that you abandoned them, that you betrayed them. So some of the examples that have happened to me over time are the person will start engaging in triangulating behavior, meaning they'll reach out to an ex or they'll start talking about other friends in a comparative way. It's very subtle. A parent might do that. If you start to mark boundaries, they'll talk about how the other child is so amazing and have invited them over, or there's a lot of like comparing and divide and conquer tactics, secrecy about other people, because what's really happening there is that they start to look for other supply and they start to poke at your abandonment wound in order to have you jump back into being the energetic, emotional ATM for them. So know that the tactics might get really intense and icky, manipulative for sure. This person will not rage, but they will manipulate. Maybe they'll go silent and punish you for having boundaries. Or sometimes parents will be like, oh, I know I'm a burden, where you have to chase them and say, oh, no, you're not a burden. So or they'll get sick. There'll be another crisis. And in order for you not to feel like the monster, the selfish one, the mean one, you'll respond to that crisis again. So just know that that's all happening and that what you're really tracking here is the pattern, the pervasiveness. Remember in the first one, when I talked about narcissistic personality disorder, the word I kept using was pervasive. And remember, you're hitting the narcissistic wound. So when you touch that wound, and the wound is also this incredible fear, it's paired with this fear of, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to face my emptiness. Remember, there's a serious emptiness that's happening. I'm going to have to face my emptiness, and I will do anything that I can to not face it. And so I'm going to project blame, punish, manipulate, triangulate, all of the stuff in order to get my supply back. The next thing you can do, which is so important, Grace and I, in the book that's coming out in November, Healing from Narcissistic Abuse, we talk about this a lot, is really establishing and re-anchoring your identity. You're not their therapist, their savior, their source of abundance. You're not their manifesting lottery. Although you are probably a really amazing manifester, probably get a lot of things, which is why you serve this role in their life. You provide excitement that they might not have. This happens with parents all the time. They're not happy in their relationship. They're not happy with their life. And you provide a source of excitement through your endeavors, through your achievements. For a spouse, that's a way to stay away from their own internal stagnation. So you are a sovereign human being, and that takes a while for us to learn. And you have needs, and you have limits, and you have dreams, all your own. Now, this doesn't mean that there's not a price to pay, because healing that abandonment wound is so important. Healing that loneliness wound is so important. So all of that will get triggered as you take the path towards being more sovereign, towards marking boundaries, towards giving some of this back. One of my cloudisms is be my guest, be my guest. If you're going to threaten me with abandonment, be my guest. You're welcome. You're welcome to leave because it does feel like it's emotionally molesting to keep having that there. So, a place to plug that up for you is to heal that. It's to heal that and to be securely attached to you. So, let's close this out. This is one of the hardest narcissists to identify and recognize because they don't harm you directly, but they do drain you. The other reason is because it's going to be someone that you feel close to. You feel really close to, who might trigger feelings of selfishness and guilt. And you might be afraid to lose all of their praise. But let me remind you that they're praising you for serving them. What happens when you stop serving them? We're going to continue this series up until the book launch, all of November. We're going to keep decoding, declassifying these very subtle dynamics that keep us trapped in invisible contracts, shadow contracts. So, next up, we're going to talk about two more: the narcissistic friend, again, hard to recognize, extremely painful to look at, and what I call the energetic Munchausen parent. And I know that's intriguing, and I'll explain what I mean by that. There is a syndrome called Munchausen syndrome. If you want, go ahead and look it up. But I'm going to talk about it in a cloudism way, which includes energetics. In the meantime, will you subscribe? Will you like? Will you comment so that I can keep giving you this type of information, but mostly because we want to transform humanity's algorithm to one that is about healing, self-growth, and evolution as we see, instead of one that's about narcissism, destruction, which is what we've come from for thousands of years. Let's do it. We're doing it slowly, but we're pushing it together. So please, let's blow a kiss to those algorithms, and that starts with you. Let's bring this epidemic to the light for real. I'll see you in the next blog.